Hey, what's up, everyone? This is going to be a recap of the story of tonight. So, if you don't believe this type of activity, move along. Go somewhere else. If you've experienced it and you know firsthand that your hand to the Lord, it's real like I do, and have witnessed it, continue listening. Or if you're open-minded, you can continue. So, I decided to walk the dog. And this was near 2 a.m. He wanted to go out. I decided to because he kept barking, wanting out. So I decided to take him outside. I took him for a walk. And you know where I've showed you where you go down the road, take a right, and go up the holler a bit. I went down the holler a few steps, I'll say, next to the cedar trees that are along the line of the hill where the cows, this other person's cattle and donkey are. I heard something next to me go, and I got a gut feeling, go back. So I went back. And I started heading back. The dog didn't do his business. So I sat down. I actually sat down right there on the small bridge. He didn't do his business, so I got up and I went on back to the house. Right when I got back to the house and clipped him to the fence post that I have in the ground. To the cord. I hear that loud howl, which you heard me describe 2 or 3 videos ago. It was like... It was very loud. And looking back upon what happened during the rest of the night, it was not a coyote or wolf. So, my phone dies. Makes sense, right? And I charge it for a few minutes in the restroom. I plugged it up to the wall. And so it charged up to 54%. So I thought, well, that's enough for me to go back outside and go for another short walk. Something in my gut told me not to go any further. So I didn't go any farther down the road. I kept the dog halfway to the creek branch. And then I decided to head on back. And I stayed right there at an opening at our yard between the pine trees and the march bushes, I call them. The dogs are still having a fit right now, even. And it is currently... Oh, please don't mess up on me. The phone's messing up. Don't tell me it's not going to get to this. But it's currently around 3:17 a.m. So, as I stop, the dog's growling. And then I shine my headband light. And I see him growling at the hill. And then I see these brown type of figures that look like a person, but it's not. They're walking along the edge of the fence row, basically right along the tree line of the hill. And it turns around and looks at me. And the eyes reflect green in the recording. That was in my previous 15-minute recording. You'll hear me talk about it. But obviously it's not going to show up on recording because sadly these things just don't want to show up on recording. So I'm sitting there with the dog and he starts growling. There goes the howling again. I'm going to step outside for a moment. You can hear right now, this is what's going on. But I step outside early. I let the dog. There are things around. But I step back and I have him on the leash and I sit there at the pine trees. And as I'm sitting there at the pine trees, there are the most vicious howls that I've heard since around 2013 or 14. And those vicious howls start happening. And as those vicious howls continue, it sounds like the dogs are being eaten up. Like literally eaten up. Just... And you can hear these things just howling everywhere. And you can hear them howling everywhere. And it sounds like the dogs are being eaten up, just eaten alive. I don't know how anyone can miss this. And I see these figures, and a dark shadow figure take off up the hill. And whatever these things were took off into the southeastern sky, hills. And they're off in the woods and the hills now. And Simba ran back to the house now. The dogs are sniffing and very, 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 very in tune to what's going on. They're very frustrated about these things. But these creatures are around. These interdimensional beings are around. But earlier, they were howling everywhere, and they were screaming. These creatures were screaming in the hills, and it sounds like the dogs are just being eaten alive. I mean, they're howling, barking, and going arr, and just, having a fit, just like they used to do a long time ago, just like the one on the hill across from our property did. And all of that was going on. And I get the sense to head on back to the house. I head on back to the house. Red was growling, and these things are right amongst me. Just right around me. I don't know why it smells like pineapple or tropical. Smells like tropical fruit out here. Anyway, that's my story from earlier. And there's things all around. The dogs are barking down into the yard, into the hills, everywhere. Anyway, this is documentation. Maybe I'll post it to the Supernatural channel as well. I got distracted from telling my story, my experience. Alright, peace. Signing out. That was my experience story. It turned out to be longer than I expected for the video because of the animals having a fit again. Peace. Signing out. I love you all. Links are below, and I'll talk as soon as possible. Bye.